Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I have a haul video for you today. So for a bit of context, I took a half day off of work on Monday and I went to the spa and had a nice massage, which was a gift card that my mom had given me for my birthday. And then I spent the rest of the afternoon mooching around Waterstones, which is a bookshop here in the UK, if you don't know that. And I used all of my book vouchers. So I had about £65 worth of book vouchers to use. And I did some damage at Waterstones. I don't normally buy new books. I tend to either use my Libby app on my phone to listen to audiobooks or read ebooks. And I just sneezed. And then the remainder of the books that I either get from sort of family and friends, or I buy secondhand, vintage, World of Books, that sort of thing, from charity shops. So yes, this was quite a special treat for me to buy a whole bag of books. So I thought I would just share these with you. And I have 5 books to share. So first up, we have a history book that's been on my radar for a while. So this is Queer Georgians, A Hidden History of Lovers, Lawbreakers, and Homemakers by Anthony Delaney. I've not read anything by Anthony Delaney before, but I did my PhD in the history of medicine in the 18th century in England. So that's partly the Georgian period. And so anything to do with the Georgians, I'm always very interested in reading. And so this book says, in this dazzling work of restorative history, Dr. Anthony Delaney has traced the stories of people daring to challenge society's expectations, unearthing archives and court records to reveal the tragedies and the joys of queer life 3 centuries ago. From Mother Clapp's Holborn Coffee House to the ladies of Llangollen, Llangollen's utopian homestead, Delaney breathes new life into the forgotten and offers radical new interpretations of celebrated figures such as Anne Lister and the Chevalier d'Eon. Queer Georgians is an invitation to view our shared history in a whole new light. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this at some point. Next up is a book I'm sure you've seen around quite a lot because it just came out. This is Maggie O'Farrell's new book, Land. What a gorgeous book. This was £25, but it's so beautiful. I love Maggie O'Farrell's writing, so I know that this will have a cherished place on my bookshelf after I read it. But Land is, look at that, beautiful, beautiful. Land is about, on a windswept peninsula stretching out into the Atlantic, Tomas and his reluctant son Liam are working for the Great Ordnance Survey project to map the whole of Ireland. The year is 1865, and in a country not long since ravaged and emptied by the Great Hunger, the task is not an easy one. Tomas, however, is determined that his maps will be a record of the disaster. The British soldiers in charge are due to arrive any day, expecting the work to be completed, but Tomas is sent off course by an unsettling encounter in a copse. His life and those of his family will never be the same again. Liam is terrified by this sudden change in his taciturn father. What was it that caused such cracks to open in Tomas? And how is Liam, aged only 10, going to finish the mapping and get them both home? Land is a novel about separation and reunion, tragedy and recovery, colonialism and rebellion. It's a story of buried treasure, overlapping lives, ancient woodland, persistent ghosts, and a particularly loyal dog, and how, when it comes to both land and history, nothing ever goes away. Sounds like a fantastic book. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think I'm going to read this in the autumn. This, to me, screams sort of September, October read. If you've read this already, which I'm sure many of you have, I'd love to know your thoughts below without any spoilers. The third book we have, and this is a book that has been on my Goodreads TBR, one of the longest books. This is The Rise and the Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusate. I'm not sure how you say his surname. He is a paleontologist, and he wrote this book almost 10 years ago now, I think. Yeah, not quite 10 years ago. And this is sort of like a renewed study of the dinosaurs. So it says 66 million years ago, the dinosaurs were wiped from the face of the earth. Today, a new generation of dinosaur hunters are piecing together the complete history of how the dinosaurs created a hugely successful empire that lasted for around 150 million years. Steve Brusate, one of the world's leading paleontologists, uses fossil clues that have been gathered using state-of-the-art technology to follow these magnificent creatures from the start of their evolution to their final days and the legacy that they left behind. Along the way, Brusate offers thrilling accounts of some of the remarkable discoveries he has made, including primitive human-sized Tyrannosaurus and monstrous carnivores, and monstrous carnivores even larger than a T-Rex. That the rise and fall of the dinosaurs is a timely reminder of what humans can learn from the magnificent creatures who ruled the earth before us. I've heard great things about this book. I've started reading it. So far it's very accessible, very engaging, and it's got pictures in it as well. Like that. So I will be tackling this book in the summer. I'm very excited to read it. Do you know that I really like dinosaurs? Jurassic Park's one of my favorite films. Next up, we've got David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas. So again, this is a beautiful cover, by the way. Very nice pink. This book has been on my TBR for absolutely ages. It's this sort of fantasy element, I think. Fantasy? Yeah. I think we're... yes, I think both fantasy and historical fiction. A very all-encompassing book. I've heard wonderful things about this. It was a little bit too long to try and read as an ebook or listen to as an audiobook. So I thought that this is one of the books that would be worth purchasing as a physical copy. So Cloud Atlas is 6 interlocking lives, one amazing adventure in a narrative that circles the globe and reaches from the 19th century to a post-apocalyptic future. Cloud Atlas erases the boundaries of time, genre, and language to offer an enthralling vision of humanity's will to power and where it will lead us. Yeah, sounds like quite the book. This reminds me of gosh, my mind has gone completely blank. I'll put a picture of the book that I'm thinking of on the screen, but it was a history of a manuscript that went through lots of different time periods, which I very much enjoyed. That this is giving that vibe. And then lastly, and similarly, another book that is absolutely, look at that, absolutely massive, so I wasn't going to read this as an ebook or audiobook, is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. So Susanna Clarke wrote Piranesi, which I absolutely love. I've been meaning to get to this book for absolutely ages, but it's so big, and yeah, there was no way I was going to try and tackle this in an electronic format. So I decided this would be a good investment piece. So yes, I really enjoyed Piranesi, so I know I like Susanna Clarke's writing style. I did not get on with The Wood at Midwinter. I thought that was kind of a pointless book, and I haven't read The Ladies of Grace Adieu yet, but I've heard fantastic things about this. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to this. This I find a little bit daunting, to be perfectly honest, but I knew I wanted to get it, so I thought I would pick it up. I found it quite challenging to pick out books because, as I mentioned, I don't tend to buy new books, and I wanted to make sure that I put my gift cards to good use. There are lots of books that I would love to get, but my first priority will be to try and get them as an ebook or an audiobook if they're sort of appropriate for that. And then beyond that, I try and get secondhand books, particularly, you know, cheap copies of things that I'll probably read once and then pass on. I don't want to have investment pieces like that. And I did look at some of the classics, like the Penguin cloth-bound classics, when I was at Waterstones, and I almost picked up Middlemarch, and I almost picked up the Count of Monte Cristo, but I just decided, you know what, the chances are I'm not going to read those anytime soon, so let's concentrate on books that I do want to read soon and that are worthwhile picking them up new. So yeah, sorry, that was my rambling of my rationale on why I was stressing myself out in Waterstones to try and use my book vouchers to the best of my ability, which is a very privileged position to be in, I realize. So yes, those are the 5 books that I picked up on my recent Waterstones adventure. And if you've read any of them, I'd love to know your thoughts, spoiler free. And yeah, with that, I will see you soon in a new video. All right, take care. Bye.